Of the fantasy football season, and it's amazing that the season starts this Thursday with the Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But here's a few tight ends I would look to start this week. The first guy is Kyle Pitts of the Atlanta Falcons. So Kyle Pitts, he was the highly touted prospect out of college football and taken early in the first round by the Atlanta Falcons. So right here, he should be one of the main targets on this team. And the way he was going in fantasy drafts coming into the season, he was going 4th or 5th round of most drafts. And right here, week 1, he's got a good matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles at home in Atlanta. I believe this ball game is going to be a shootout, and I like a lot of guys from both teams as guys to start in this ball game. So Kyle Pitts here, he's a big athlete. He can make a lot of plays, and he's going to get a lot of targets, in my opinion, especially with Julio Jones traded in the offseason from Atlanta to the Tennessee Titans, obviously. So Kyle Pitts, a lot of people drafted him early, and this week I like the matchup is a lot, and he's a guy I definitely would start this week, and I could see a pretty good game out of Pitts. 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown is a definite benchmark. He definitely can reach those numbers in this game, and he's a tight end I'm definitely going to start this week. The next tight end is Robert Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. So Robert Tonyan, he's a player that I feel like's been underrated in fantasy drafts this season. Last year, he had a big year with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, 586 receiving yards and 11 touchdowns, and he didn't really get going until week 3 or 4 of the season. And Tonyan, I like him a lot. I drafted him in a few leagues this season here because I think he's going to be good again. And obviously, he plays in one of the better offenses and with one of the best quarterbacks in all of the NFL is Tonyan. And Tonyan, he's got another good matchup this week at the New Orleans Saints. This ball game, I think it's going to be high scoring. I think the Packers are still going to win this game, but Robert Tonyan, he's definitely going to make noise and make some plays in the middle of the field, and I wouldn't be surprised if he has 3 or 4 catches for 40, 50 yards, and he finds the end zone, because this guy's a big target. He's a good red zone target, obviously, and he's got a knack for the end zone, like I mentioned, with the 11 touchdowns this season. And this week here versus the New Orleans Saints, I definitely think he finds the end zone, and it's an indoor game as well in New Orleans. So that's another good sign, and a plus here for Robert Tonyan and the Packers. The next tight end is Rob Gronkowski of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I've mentioned I like all the Bucs this week here versus a weak Dallas Cowboy defense where I don't think they're going to stop the Bucs at all in this game. I could see the Bucs going for 30 to 40 points in this one as the opener and showing why they are the champs and a dominant team. Last season, Gronk, he got off to a very slow start, no doubt about it, the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season, but he's still under the year with 623 yards and 7 touchdowns. In this game versus Dallas, you don't need much out of him. I could see Gronk going for like 2 catches, 25 yards, and finding the end zone, and that's still a 10-point day in PPR league. So I could even see him getting 60 yards and a touchdown, depending where Brady goes to in this game, because they got tons of weapons on this offense, obviously. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Fournette, Ronald Jones. So right here, Brady's going to spread the ball out, but I think Gronk has a great chance of finding the end zone this week. And he's a guy I definitely would have in my lineup, especially opening night, and especially versus a very weak Dallas Cowboy defense. The next tight end is Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. So like I mentioned, this ball game I think is a highway shootout over there in Atlanta here. We're going to see these teams in the high 20s to mid-30s score in this game. And Dallas Goedert, he's been high-ranked coming into fantasy drafts this season. And right here, rightfully so, him and Jalen Hurts, they look pretty good in the few games they played together towards the end of the season last year. And Goddard last year, he was banged up and missed about half the season with the injury, but now he's healthy. He's the number 1 tight end. I know Zach Ertz is still there, but right now it's a new regime over there in Philly, and they're going to run Goddard out there as the number 1 option at the tight end position. And let's be honest right here, Hurts, he don't have many great receiving weapons as big targets. Fulgham they released for whatever reason. I know you got this Heisman Trophy winner Devonta Smith and a good receiver in Jalen Reagor over there. But right here, you need some big targets in the red zone, and that's what Dallas Goedert definitely is. So I could see Goddard as well finding the end zone in this ball game with probably 50 or 60 yards as well, and he's a good start this week at the tight end position. And the 5th and final tight end I would look to start this week's Mike Gesicki the Miami Dolphins. So Mike Gesicki, he was a sleeper in a lot of leagues. He went very late in most drafts, and this is a guy who can make plays, and he proved it last season. Was Gesicki 700 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, pretty solid year. To a Tyler Voglia, he's going to want a security blanket, and I think Mike Gesicki definitely could be that security blanket and a playmaker in this Dolphin offense. And the Dolphins, they're banged up right now. Devontae Parker's banged up as usual. Jalen Waddle, he's not 100%. And Will Fuller, he's suspended one more game. So right here, Gesicki, he could get double digits in targets in this ball game. I know New England's pretty solid on defense, but right here too, I think he's going to rely on Gesicki in big situations. And I could see Gesicki getting 40, 50 yards and finding the end zone as well. He's a big target. He can make plays. And he's a nightmare matchup, in my opinion, to linebackers or even safety. So right here, I like Gesicki as a start, and that's a few tight ends I would look to start here in week 1 of the fantasy football season.